a very special treat for you because we have a special guest here with us tonight. One of the finest guitar players on the planet, my friend. This is the amazing Mr. Thomas Blug. I know you know him. Hey, man. Now this is how players jam. He didn't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna be in the key of C, and we're gonna go boom, 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 boom. You're gonna take it around. You got it. Hold it. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2. Mr. Thomas Blues right there. Come on.
Welcome to Academy of Tone 320. Well, what a great pleasure it was to play with the legendary Walter Trout last Saturday in Luxembourg. A great outdoor festival named the Blues Express. In this episode, Blues Live, I will talk a little bit more about what was happening behind the scenes. I will have a very long and deep interview with Tommy Z, another great American blues player. He was, or he is releasing his new album, so we will talk about this later in this episode. But before we dive in, today is a very special day because it is the birthday of Joe Satriani. Joe, well, turns 70 today, round, and I have a little picture here when we met approximately 10 years ago, something like that. I don't even remember exactly the year. And he checked out the Amp1, of course. And yeah, very, Joe Satriani is such a nice guy. It's, yeah, super supportive. Yeah, and yeah, it's just super nice guy and killer guitar player. Hey, he here's a little story. When I was in my whatever early 20s or doing some clinics in stores in Germany, I came to Hamburg, North Germany, and now of course I have to speak North German Hamburg accent. And I played a song, one of mine, instrumentals on the Stratocaster, and a guy in the audience wanted to make a compliment, and he goes in the North in the Hamburg accent. Tjo, nee, Alter, du spielst Gitarre genauso wie Joe Satriani. Okay, means I was playing melodic guitar like Joe Satriani, but for the Germans, it's like hilarious with this accent. We all have our accents, and I love those accents. Don't get me wrong, but Joe Satriani, that's a good one. Yeah. Anyway, so happy birthday, Joe Satriani. Let's go back. Um, let's actually go back to this T-shirt that Walter gave me when I was visiting him in January, and we did the Academy of Tone 300. Yeah, which is a very round number again. Satriani 70 and Academy of Tone 300, the special number for Walter Trout. And this T-shirt has been great for me because I can literally say I've been sleeping with Walter Trout for the whole springtime. Now it's too hot. So this T-shirt is my, let's call it Schlafanzug, or I don't know what's the English word when you go to bed. It has his iconic Stratocaster, and it says, "I survived a Walter Trout concert." And I can proudly say, yeah, I survived a Walter Trout concert, even being with him on stage. Don't ask me how many, because this was my first one. So this will go down in history as my first Walter Trout, joining Walter on stage. Yep, stay here. Yeah, so you have seen the intro song and it was lots of fun, but I wanted to make this a little bit behind the scenes story because it was kind of hilarious on the one hand, and on the other hand, it was also um, a typical thing that happens. So, what happened was when we met in January in Huntington Beach as his place, having dinner, talk, and I made a great interview with him. Watch it, Academy of Tone 300. Um, we said when he's coming to Europe or close to Germany or wherever I am, hey, you can come and see me again, and maybe you can join us for a little jam, sit in, and things like that. So I thought it's cool. And then I saw some post on social media from him saying, when I was posting something about Amp One, and he said, 2 days ago I was using it, and it worked great, and blah blah blah. So I saw Walter Trout. Okay, so he must be on tour now in somewhere in Europe. And then I contacted him and said, okay, Saturday I have no gig because I played, I think it was Thursday or Friday. So the Saturday was free. And I looked up and I thought, Blues Express, Luxembourg. I played there 10 years ago with my German three-piece band Dreist, DDD, and I played there with Blug Plays Hendrix, with who was the other, uh, fuck, I forgot about. Anyway, there were. I've played this festival myself, but this is a couple of years ago, and I have been there visiting other great guitar players like Larry Carlton. It is a fantastic festival, and it's in the Luxembourg countryside with hills and mountains. And this is the part where there used to be coal industry. So they have a little train that goes like through a hill, and that connects one side of the festival with the other side of the festival. And I have a little map that might show you the whole arrangement of many stages. So at this Blues Express Festival, you have, I don't know if you can count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. It's about 10 stages or whatnot. I forgot about how many. The thing is, um, when you are on one side of the hill, it is either you take that train, that old train, and that goes through the hill that the coal miners were taking, which is an experience by itself, but it's very tiny and small. So you are in a very narrow tunnel. And I thought, you know what? We have to get there, and we have to find a way um, how to say, how to get to the stage, how simply, yeah, um, see Walter, and hang out with him, and yeah, see what's going on. So this was July 11th of July, and Walter was headlining, and then you can see tons of other bands on that festival. Um, Full lineup, it's great. Um, yeah. Um, anyway, so the first video that I want to show you is the beauty of the Luxembourg countryside. And you can get a feel that it's nice and it's hilly and there's fields and there is not so much transportation if you are put to a parking lot far away from where the concerts are, which is totally cool for the regular people audience. But I wanted to bring my guitar, which you could see, and I also had a cabinet, a fat cap with me, and an amp one, because I thought, I use my gear just in case, bring my gear. I came there with a friend of mine who was filming a little bit, Erik Zanner, by the way. Kudos to Erik. And that's another story. I first tried to get Lukas Schüssler, Luke, from here, because he's a great blues player and he would have loved to join, but he was busy playing himself. And then I had Georgie Meyer, and George just had another gig coming up with the Höhners, and he had to learn too many songs, so he was not free. I ended up with Erik Zanner, and we both were going to the festival, me with the guitar and him carrying my fat cap. And therefore, we tried to get close to anything like an organizer's office. But first, a little video about the beautiful countryside of Luxembourg. Well, we are approaching the Blues Express Festival in Luxembourg. Look at the beautiful countryside. Aha. And the bus is coming. Okay. See you. Well, okay, you can see this is us driving somewhere. And then there was some signs for the festival, and then there were some people that were kind of blocking the road and giving us the sign, go to this parking over here, a bus will take you somewhere. And I said, hey guys, look at this. I don't have a pass here, but I have an email of Walter Trout. He's the headliner. And that says, "Hey Thomas, when you're here, join me tonight." So I'm not, I didn't make up anything. So yeah, somewhere here it is. Tommy, wait a minute. It doesn't matter. Wait a minute. This was Saturday. Here's Walter Trout. So simple email. So I could prove, hey, I'm an artist. Walter Trout sends me an email. And for some people who had seen the lineup of the festival, they should know what Walter Trout is. But all these nice people at these stops, they didn't know anything about it. They were okay. I have to call some organizer here. I said, okay, have your time, take your time. It's not a problem. Walter is not playing until 10 p.m. So the time we arrived there was already like 8:30, and then phone call, and this guy calls back, and he couldn't tell, and then somebody will ring you back, and another 10 minutes. Well, it was a nice day, and I had a good time with my friend Eric. We talked about things because he doesn't live here anymore in Saarbrücken. So we talked about good old times and friends things. Okay. Anyway, after whatever 10 minutes, the first phone call said, okay, yeah, you have to get the guys on this parking, and there's a bus that will bring you down there. So of course, no problem. We go to the parking, we wait for the bus, another 10 minutes wait for the bus. And finally a bus came, and the bus was bringing us somewhere. And, it was going up the hill, down the hill, and everything. It was kind of narrow in this area. So one bus hit the other bus, and the mirror got broken. Okay. Okay, after this, the bus carries on, and then get out of the bus and think, okay, is this the stage here? Because, and it was the stage Bufferding or something like that. And then asking people here, is the organizer office? No, the stage Bufferding is somewhere else. It's on the other side of the hill. So you have to take the bus, and you go on the other side here, and this is where the bus is leaving for the other side. And in the meantime, I was trying to communicate, like sending an email, and we were in the countryside. There was no internet connection. There was not even a phone connection. There was nothing. So it was beautiful, but no connection. No problem. So we take the other bus, and the bus climbs up the mountain, goes down the hill on the other side, and I could see, man, this could be the stage. And then the bus goes all the way past the stage and the place where all the people are, where several stages are, and the main stage, of course. And we pass on, and I thought, bus, please stop, because we have a cabinet to carry. And then it was like almost a kilometer that people had to walk through a nice park to get there, but it was like there was no way to stop there on a steep road going to the. So okay, anyway, we got out of the bus. We found some people, and we asked the same thing. Hey, how do we get to this stage over there? Can you have somebody helping us, driving us there? And I said, okay, I tried to call somebody. Same story, calling 15 minutes. Nobody had any clue. And finally, some guy arrives and stops there and says, okay, it's all one-way streets. So you have to go all the way around the hill, up and down again. On my next round, I can pick you up and drive you there. So we are waiting. We are waiting another half an hour or whatever. The guy is not coming. We asked another guy that says, okay, I will drive you. So finally, we found somebody, but he said, we cannot go back straight to the stage. We have to go all the way through the valley, up the hill, and down to the other side of the hill and to that kind of stage. So, and the end of that trip, we have a little film, because the guy, everybody was super nice. And the guys of Blues Express, hey guys, I should play at your place again because it's great. And maybe then I have a pass and it makes my life easier. But this is just an example of what can happen. Anyway, time was flying by and I had to ask, hey, now it's getting tight. At 10 o'clock, Walter Trout is on stage and we were like 15 minutes before or even 10 minutes before. So what happened is we joined this guy just like a shuttle, but a small, like a van, not a real bus. So a van with the fat cab, with me, Eric, the guitar, going to stage and looking at this. Okay, this is getting tight. So there's no real option to talk to Walter before the stage. And then see what happens, because this is real life. We get there 2 minutes or 1 minute before 10, and this is what happens. Watch it. So now we are approaching, finally, after 1 hour of Space Odyssey, we finally arrive at the venue. And this should be our stage, is it? Follow. Okay. Looking good. What we are looking. Hey, fans. At least some people do know me. Here we are. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Good driver. The only one that really knew what he was doing. I'm your fan. Okay. Cheers. Hey. Finally. Sorry, this was 1 hour of an odyssey because they sent us to the other stage. I played here before and nobody knew shit. Anyway.
Yeah, now.
Yeah. By the way, this is my friend Eric.
You want to plug me into another amp? Fine, I can put up fine stuff. I just need a power cable. That needs to go.
You made it! Fucking hey, dude, you made it. How you doing, Thomas?
I'm good.
Good, I'm glad you made it, dude.
It took me an hour to circle around. They sent me on the other side of the hill, then they sent me in a bus, and then the bus was there. Man, but
You're here.
I'm here.
So John's gonna get up and play one with me.
Okay.
And then after that, you're
Yeah.
on, and we're gonna be in the key of C, and we're gonna
That's easy.
we're gonna
I got
play
it.
a shuffle.
Yeah. Okay.
3 chords and a lot of fucking notes.
can I use my cabinet or do I plug in anything else?
Well, we have an amp set up. There's a boogie set up out there with a lot of drive.
Okay, but then I take whatever is easy.
Yeah, it's what he's using, and
Yeah.
he's got. I mean, it's set to.
Okay. Keep it. I know what to do.
Yeah. And let's hang afterwards, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dressing room's back there.
Okay.
It's the one that says Walter on it.
The one with the window. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, no.
My son, I think. My son, John.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah. So how was the tour so far? Good?
It's been good. You know, I used your amp on the first two shows. but
Right.
On the second show, they put it through the speakers in a super reverb.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there was an ohmage problem, but
Yeah.
it was going on and
Yes,
off.
it is an homage problem.
Okay.
It's 2 ohms. You got 2 minutes only.
We'll talk later.
Yeah, we talk later. Cheers.
So this is behind the scenes as much as it can be. And by the way, we have somebody in the chat here, Perfecto de Castro, who is also living in Los Angeles, and he has also been here. Shout out for Perfecto. Practice makes perfecto. But as you can see, you should practice before you do stuff like this. Joining a maestro of the blues on stage, there is nothing you can really prepare unless you are prepared through all your experience you have. Because, you know, all I knew is the key of C, you know. Well, and it's the good thing it's blues, so that makes it a lot easier. And as you could see, there was not even time for me to set up anything. I mean, it would have taken a minute, but you don't want to disturb any of that already pre-arranged show. So I didn't know what amp I would play. I just, you know, I left everything aside and I thought, oh, what can I do now? I have no other information, which is cool. What can I do? So I unpacked the guitar and, you know, played a little bit along what he was playing on stage. So kind of make me feel that I'm there. That was my preparation. And besides that, I was going downstairs and watch him play. That's also part of this, to get a feel for what's going on stage. Who are the guys? Because I couldn't see anybody when I was arriving. I don't know his band, or didn't know his band back then at that point in time. So that's my preparation. Go behind the stage, listen to the music, have my guitar, and do a little warm up. Yeah, there's a clip. Yeah, and then I was going down in front of the stage, having a look what's going on, checking out the guys and seeing, oh yeah, the drummer is looking and the keyboard player is looking at Walter, and Walter, you know, is getting a feel for the people on stage. And I was filming actually. The videos that you see now, that's me filming. Let's watch a few of those snippets. this is what I have done to prepare myself. Just watch the concert, and this was the monitor mixer position where I was filming from at the end. And now I actually know what I have been playing through because I was filming. I didn't care about anything. So the second guitar player was Walter's son. And now I can see that he was plugged into a Mesa, and the Mesa was plugged into the speakers of a Fender amp. So that's seems to be their thing. They rent Fender amps or and then plug in their Mesa heads in that if they don't play amp one. But all good. But hey, what have I done when I joined? I simply took the cable, plugged it in the guitar, switched on the standby, and this was it. There was no sound check. I was just getting a signal, and that's fucking all. You know, I hate when people go and whittle and it's like I played guitar before, and I just felt there was some gain, and that's okay. You know, I knew it was not a clean sound, so that was enough information for me to to play. And then, as we could see in the intro song, um, it was a like a shuffle. Shuffle in C. And that's something, you don't have to learn a song. You have to live the music. You have to be a blues rocker in that situation. And by the way, this is exactly the point where I have to announce a special, what is it, discount on the BluesRock Masterclass. Yeah, just check it out. This is how you prepare, but not in the moment you arrive at a festival and if you don't know shit by then, it's too late. And you have to be somebody like Walter Trout who lived that music, who has been there, who has played concert, who has been out there doing it. that's the best preparation. And then you can even go to a festival and, it's make sure the guitar is in tune. I didn't have a tuner, so the only thing is like, put your ear on the horn of that beautiful Fender Stratocaster shape, which is trying to be protected by Fender, and therefore this socks, Fender guys, or better to call them the off Fender guys here. But the thing is, you got ears, so you have a tuner, and then if there's an amp on stage that works, there's an amp on stage that works, and you don't care. You just go with the music. And would I change the settings? Why should I? I mean, I didn't even touch the amp besides the standby switch. And the thing is, whatever sound it is, you can try to get something out of it. And if you're too nitty-pitty problematic, you don't belong in such situations. That's all good, but BluesRock is... I survived a Walter Trout concert, and I mean, he came up with the phrase. Why? Because let's say it's something that actually happens in the moment, and that cannot be practiced in a way. And it's not real. It's real life. It is dirty, and it is not knowing exactly what is the obvious ending for what's coming next. I play this lick over this lick, and then the next part. And no, there is a blues form, and you feel free, and you live in the moment with the vocabulary, and the rest is a communication. And if you watch the intro song again, you will see that he gave me signs. I kind of checked if there are any signs in the air, and even myself gave a sign here and there, like maybe you now, and all that kind of things, which it's non-verbal even. Even though we had a few words on stage while playing, that also works, but it's like, be easy, be in the moment, just go for it, and don't worry about anything. I mean, as Eric asked me, it's like, are you nervous? I'm fucking too old to be nervous. What's the problem here? I had a beer, and I have a guitar, and there's a stage, and then the rest is fun. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But then it doesn't help to make a problem out of that. Well, anyway, so we have a little thing at the end of the concert. I went to the backstage after my song playing with Walter. I thought, okay, now I have whatever. I get a beer, relax, and be happy. So I went to the tent where there was the food and the drinks. And the Luxembourg people have very good food. They had ice cream. They had, they had desserts and stuff like that. I didn't want to eat big things, but very tasty chocolate, Belgian chocolate. And, so I thought, let's look at this backstage place and get something to reward yourself. And I think I ended up having a beer and getting some of the chocolate. And then being in the tent, I could hear my name. But this was like 100 meters away from the stage. So I had, I have no clue what the plan was. I just heard my name, and I thought better go back to the stage. And there's a little clip that shows me running.
And I hear on. I know everything else. What? That's on the soundcheck and rehearsal. Oh yeah.
Well, I made it to the stage just in case. You never know what happens. Maybe they want to go on stage and bow, or there could also be another song, and so at least I didn't miss anything, which was, I was there. So if there would have been a decision for whatever, I would be prepared for that as well. So that's the thing, be prepared. And then, this was a very nice gig for me and a very nice experience because I never played with the guys. And of course, after playing with them, I had a nice chat with the drummer, with the bass player who played, by the way, with Satriani, birthday boy today, oh man, and Steve Vai, and them all. And so does the drummer. And these are real pros. And so we had a little chat, and then Walter said, come to backstage and let's hang a little bit. And we talked about many things, like what's going on with Amp X and what's going on here and blah, blah, blah. And there was a little story about the volume thing. And this was about my experience playing with Uli John Roth, which is the Blackstar amp here. That's Uli's, by the way. Uli, if you're listening, I bring it to you wherever you want it to have. Yeah. So here's a little things that we talk after a gig, just as an example. Okay, our little Uli conversation I think we have on camera. Enjoy. Extra power supply to make like 48 volts, so he has 90 dB of boost. And his trick is, he's a nice guy, he sends out emails that says, okay, I'm old school, I play loud. Be prepared, I play loud. So when he goes on stage, he has like 100 watt Marshall, no master volume, so 100 watt clean, and the saturation on top. And his preferred amp is even, it's a Blackstar Artisan series. I have one of his amps that he gave me, 230 watts. So I played with him. The sound guy was leaving the room because he said, I put everything on full. I cannot do anything more. I'm leaving. See you guys. So Uli, nice guy. Uli checked out my amp and he plays the clean channel, but with his boost, it's like, usually I can kill any amp with that, It's like, mine survive. And I said, okay, sounds pretty nice. And then he's 1-2 weeks, I didn't hear anything. And then he called me up and said, I have a gig in Greece. Your amp sounded good. Maybe I should try it out. And I, Uli, no problem, I sent you an amp. Okay. So Uli goes off with his amp. Uli plays the amp, says, oh, it's nice. Can I buy 4 more? Why do you want 4 more? Well, 1 more for me and 2 for my other guitar players, and we are handy tidy in Italy. So next thing is Uli calls me from Italy. It says, Tommy, it's all great, but in the second half of the set, the sound was getting a little bit, not so tight anymore. I said, Uli, what have you done? Well, I connected your 2 amp ones into one 4x12, so 100 watt here, 100 watt there, and he had everything on 10. That's him, 10 is this magic number. And then I said, Uli, this is the sound you get just before the speakers die. You can be lucky that you could end the gig.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Next time I used 4 2x12s.
Wow.
That's Uli.
Yeah. He's a great player.
Yeah, he's a great.
I love his playing.
I mean,
he's got that weird guitar with the it's like the only guitar like that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, this guy has a vision. Always had.
Yeah.
And he's like, he plays Vivaldi,
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a character. He's a very nice guy, I have to admit. It's just when you play with him, it's like, we played together and there was like 3 guitar players, there was like me on this side, another German guy, Viktor Smolsky, original Russian, but anyway, great metal guy, and me and Uli. And at the end of the concert, we could see there was Uli, and all the band was there. Because it was so fucking loud. And, and the organizer had to give free earplugs for everybody. But and Uli wears earplugs himself, so he has a very smooth sound.
That's the way, my friend.
And you can feel the guitar. He does the whole celebration of the 1970s, you know,
Yeah,
full stack magic.
And he was in the Scorpions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
correct? Yeah.
So the first guitar player in the Scorpions was Michael Schenker next to Rudolf Schenker.
Yeah.
And then Michael split and Uli came. And I think this is when the Scorpions in the first incarnation were like a hippie band.
Yeah.
You would not even think that, you know, here I am, rock. They were more like 60s flower power easy with reverb and, you know.
Well, let's hear it for reverb, man.
Yeah, anyway, I was talking too much, but it was fun. We had our stories. I was telling mine, he was telling his. That's part of the whole thing. I love it. I love it. Because I think everybody in this world of the musicians, of the real musicians, we go through things that we experience that other people don't. And you can, no money can buy that. It's just you need to be part of the whole thing, and that's either your life, and you have to pay a price for that too, but the reward is so good. And so I don't want to trade my life in for anything else anyway. And here comes the next thing. Just before this episode, I was checking, things so we can make some photos and send them to Lucas so he can put them here in the stream. And then while doing that on social media, I can see that Walter was actually posting this episode and asking me, "Hey, will it be on there so I can share it afterwards?" Yes, you can. So social media connects us too. And the funny thing is, the day after, I even got some emails by Marie Trout, Walter's wife, who sent me the set list. But because there was no internet at this venue, I got them when I was home. There's a little slideshow of pictures we should show you so you get the feel. This is the band, by the way. The keyboard player, sorry, I forgot the names, the bass player and Walter's son. Yeah, super cool. Yeah, after the gig, yeah, that was the drummer. Oh, again, no names. But that's me. Bear with me. Sorry. Yeah, this was the Blues Express, which is what the name of the festival, killer. And here you see that's kind of where the backstage tent was, where I had to run on stage to be there. As you can see, the Luxembourg people, they have tons of buses to transport the bands and everything. Very nice, nicely set and okay organized for those who know what to do. I would say okay organized for standard procedures. I run a company, so I know when you have to improvise, it takes different skills, not only as a guitar player, also as a businessman. And you have to get to results, take quick decisions, and get things done. That's the thing we can work on. That's my guitar waiting on a fridge before I go on stage. Relict is my middle name, and so you know where it's coming from. That's me unpacking the gear, but as we could see, I was playing a Mesa Boogie and not my beloved Amp 1. But, I'm ready for anything. You never know. Yeah, that's me when I was trying to play along with Walter on stage just to get a feel. and this is Eric, Mr. Eric Zanner, my cameraman friend, but he's not a cameraman. He's everything, but he's Eric. Okay, and the band on stage. So we had some fun, watching them. That's the audience, and you see the beautiful countryside with the hill and the narrow streets where the car can only go one way, and so they have to go all the way around to get to the other thing. That's Walter in backstage saying bye bye. What an experience. That's Walter on stage, me filming. See. So if you have seen some of the snippets earlier, that was me filming, and that's Eric making pictures of me filming. Here we are, back to the band. And something else happened besides meeting a few people. I met a French singer and guitar player, Jessie Lee, and she's playing with her band, or she was playing with her band, not at the same time, so I didn't hear her play, Jessie Lee and the Alchemist, and she was saving my ass once. There's a little story when I was playing in France at some guitar festival and had no guitar. Check this story. To France.
Yes.
And
2 years ago? 2 years, maybe.
Yeah, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So, and I was playing there Saturday night, and we played there Sunday. And when I came back on Sunday, I opened my car's trunk, and there was no guitar. So I'm all the way in France at a festival.
Yeah.
And I had no guitar.
Yeah, and I just bought one because there was a kind of sales guitar sailors like outside. I said, oh, I like that. I'm gonna buy one because I've played on the Saturday night, the night before. And said, can you lend me this guitar because I forgot mine? I'm like, yeah, sure. And that's how we met. And we jammed together, I think, on one song.
Yeah. This was so great.
Yeah.
So for me, she saved my ass. She was saving my ass in France where nobody knows me. And it was so good.
Yeah, it was amazing. And it was amazing to see you with Walter tonight. Like, we played earlier.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so
same stage or the same festival?
Yeah, same festival,
different
but the
stage.
Train station, amazing place.
I played there like 10 years ago.
Okay.
When I was young as you.
All right. Yeah, it was amazing. I would say I have to see Walter at least once because I'm a big fan since I'm a child.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is Thomas. Like, this is amazing. That's the story.
And the thing is, Walter just dropped me an email that come and join tonight.
Oh wow! So you were in Germany, and you did?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
only for a team. That's so great. So you've known him for a long time.
well, he sent me an email like a year ago, and he said, "I'm a fan of yours, and I'm a fan of your amp." And
Nice.
he bought the amp. And then the last time we met in Los Angeles in Hunting Beach at his home, and we became friends. I was hanging out with him for a day,
Oh, that's so great.
and this is how the whole thing started.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's a good story.
Yeah. Tell us the band, the website, and
All right.
everything that people need to know to
All
check you out.
So I'm the lead singer and guitarist of Jessie Lee and the Alchemist. This is a modern blues rock music on the original songs, 3 albums. We're on tour until October 27 for the last album. Jessie Lee and the Alchemist.com.
Yeah, and they are killer. Trust me, because when she sings and plays, but the singing, I remember there were a few moments where we had some interaction. Spot on. So,
Thank you so much. He's
check
a
it out.
killer.
Yeah. See you soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, see, this was another situation where I just bumped into somebody at the festival, but I also bumped into her a couple of years back on that French festival, and we played together without any preparation. And same thing, you have to be prepared. And that's the beauty of the whole thing. Before I forget, like and subscribe Academy of Tone. If you have not subscribed to the channel, now is the chance. It doesn't cost you anything. Cool. Now I have another topic, which is, of course, blues related. Our dear friend Tommy Z from Buffalo, New York, is releasing a new album. And I took a very nice and spontaneous interview, which I want to show you next, where we talk about anything. We talk about his album, we talk about our experiences. This episode here is about sharing insights into the scene where most people don't get the details. And especially the blues players, they enjoy jamming, and that's something what I enjoy myself too. And it is you live a life, and you have to be open, you have to be spontaneous, you have to react to people, you have to act, you have to give, and you have to take, and it's a way of living, actually, in that kind of world. There are other universes. There is like a beautiful world out there with other styles of music, classical music or metal music, and they also have their beauty. I'm not saying anything against it. I'm just trying to give you some insights into this blues world, blues and rock world. And for me, Walter Trout is one of those originals. I mean, if you know his story in life, playing with John Mayall and being a drug addict and a whole, I mean, that he is still alive and kicking, that's a good sign, and he is. So now Tommy Z is as passionate as we all are, and we did that interview. Enjoy the interview, and I will see you next week. I will see you next week with another Academy of Tone. I think we do something with power strokes. Let's go back for technical stuff, because that's also very important. Okay, but now Tommy Z. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Mr. Tommy Z.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said Z this time, but officially over there it's Z, right?
Yeah, we have the Z and you have the Z. Which is some maybe classic mistake the Europeans would do.
Well, they do the same thing in Canada, and I'm so close to playing over there. We're just talking about the temperatures in Toronto and Celsius and Fahrenheit, and they call me, Tommy Z up there. It's the same thing. And some of my friends who are, I guess, what would you call them, Neapolitan or travelers or whatever, they call me Tommy Z as well, even though they're American. So.
It's okay, but talking about temperature, I just let you know that we have still the heat wave going on here in my area in Germany for like 3 weeks or at least, or maybe even longer. It feels like forever. We never had that kind of hot climate, close to almost 40 degrees Celsius. And that's how many Fahrenheit did you have today? Which was it?
Well, here in Western New York, it's 82 degrees Fahrenheit. So let me just do a quick comparison. 82 Fahrenheit to Celsius. So it's only 27.7. It's only about 28 degrees Celsius. So 34 degrees. Let me see what you got here.
Let's have a
look. That's 93.
Yeah.
That's similar to what it was like. I was just on tour with Amp One, by the way, in Costa Rica back in February and part of March, and temperatures was there. And I was telling you earlier, before we started, that I've used the Amp One in extreme temperatures. Like there's sometimes, because I'm here in Buffalo, New York, where we have, you know, sub-zero temperatures, blizzard conditions. A lot of times I don't get the chance to take the stuff out of my truck, so it's in there freezing, you know, and then I'll go right into the gig and I'll fire it up and have to play. And then there's times where this time of year I'm doing gigs outside, festivals, and sometimes, you know, just regular gigs at the beach, and it's upwards of 90 something degrees. And, you can feel the top of that amp just in normal conditions. It's not,
Yeah.
you can't fry an egg on it, but it's not, cool either.
Yeah. Well, it's technically speaking, it is having a fan which is with a temperature sensor, so it's regulated. Just in case it would get too hot, the fan would start blowing at a higher speed, and so it's pretty safe. And
yeah,
myself, I've played also like in Sweden, minus, I don't know, 20 Celsius, and
wow.
Australia. So I've been playing in different kind of venues and clubs and climates. So that's of course always a challenge for the gear. What are you doing when you sweating like a pig with a guitar, which I do? Sometimes when I go on the stage and it's a lot of humidity, I'm dripping all over my fretboard, and it's like, are you taking?
It's interesting that you bring that up, because some people have commented to me that I don't sweat when I'm up on stage. I used to. It was weird. I had this situation with hernia surgeries some years ago, and prior to that, I used to eat up necks and frets and sweat a lot. And then after I had that surgery, I think maybe something changed with my my endocrine system or something, and I just don't. And maybe my body, bottles it up a little bit differently. But I do use like finger ease on the neck and stuff like that, so that it doesn't impede me, and it saves the strings too. Now, I know we're not advertising for finger ease, but I like that stuff.
Okay. Yeah. I remember when I was a teenager, and I think it was my first public gig ever. I was so nervous. It's like, okay, tonight, my first concert, and all my school friends and mates came to the gig, and it was kind of at the local church kind of thing in their party area. They had something under the church. It was a weird thing, so it was connected to the church, but it was like cool to be there. And usually churches would be very like quiet, and you go more for the praying and stuff, but this is
right.
And so they had this kind of youth night, and we played there with my band, and I was like so nervous, and I thought, I have to protect my hands from getting oversweat. So I found some powder from my father, a deo kind of thing that you can put in.
Talcum powder.
Yeah. So, and I put that all the way, every song, even more. And then the guitar was all messed up, but I survived. And anything you do and that you survive is the learning process, and it brings you more relaxation, because you've been there, you've done that, and you didn't die.
Yeah, it's amazing that little things that you made sure you've taken care of can give you relief. And it's like, if I use earplugs and I don't have my earplugs or something like that, that can be stressful. It's like, oh, what do I do? Because I tend to use those on the gig. But, when we're talking about medical stuff, man, I heard that, I heard about that suit from Fender and everything, but now I hear that you're in trouble with the medical community too, because of Amp One. You're saving so many people's backs and hernias that fewer people are having surgery.
Yeah. Well, when I designed Amp One, I had my own back problems back then, and that's a good thing. I'm totally good now. My spine is fine. I do a little bit of swimming in the pool, and a little exercise here and there, which does help a lot. And maybe I also learned how to stand up straight, because I took some yoga lessons, like when I had the issues, the back pain, and this was one motivation actually to go away from the good old heavy tube amps, you know.
Yeah. If I could spin this thing around, I've got a twin reverb, like a Blackface twin. I've got a super reverb with the 410 ceramic speakers. I've got a vibroverb like Stevie used, you know, with the 115 in there. And in that amp, I use like a JBL or an EV, which is like a 25-pound speaker or more, you know. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but it's great that this came along, because I haven't dragged these things out of the basement since I found Amp One.
Yeah. And there's another thing that I have to that happened to me just last Saturday. Maybe you can see the T-shirt here. Walter Trout, he took me on his show as a guest.
Wow,
this is a very cool story, but which is also so cool that Walter Trout dropped me a message on Facebook, like, when was it, the end of last year, that he bought an Amp One and that he's a fan of the Amp One as well. And then we got in contact, and so I was joining his gig as a guest last Saturday, which was so much fun. And that's the other good thing about me doing the Amp One. I do something that is special to other people, and that connects us all. And didn't you play with Walter Trout as well?
Yeah, I was going to say, Walter is, you know, not only an incredible artist, but he is a really inspiring human being. I mean, if you just even a cursory examination of his story, how he's come back from his health ordeal. I mean, from the brink of death. I mean, you know, if you remember what the pictures of him look like.
Yeah.
I mean, I even told him, because we did a show together not too long ago. I said, I'm sorry, I've got to admit, I didn't think from those pictures that you were going to make it. And he's sitting right next to me after just kicking total ass up on stage.
Yeah.
And then he proceeded to tell me a little bit more about his story, and how he found the doctor that did the transplant and saved his life. It was because of Curtis Salgado, the incredible soul singer, blues singer, that inspired the Blues Brothers character for John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd. But anyway, so we did a show together not too long ago. What was it like playing with him?
Oh, great. I mean, the biggest thing was we couldn't communicate, because this was somewhere in the woods, a festival, and they had too many stages on one side of the hill and the other side. And for some reason, there was no organizer's office. So I had to get... I didn't have a ticket. I just had his email, you know, and we took it kind of simple. It's like, let me know when you are coming. I said, okay, Sunday. Then he said, remind me for Saturday. And I wrote the email, and he wrote back, okay, bring your guitar, you can join in. Okay, so that's all I had. I went there, and the organizer said, oh, you cannot go with your car here. You have to go to this parking. I said, well, can we call somebody here? I need to get to the stage. I even brought my amp, my cabinet. You know what happened? They sent me to this parking lot. Then a bus took me and the gear to the wrong place. After 1.5 hours, which was 2 minutes to showtime, I arrived at the stage.
Wow.
Yeah, Walter on stage turns around. Oh, Thomas, you're here. That's great. So I bring you on somewhere in the middle of the set. We play something in C. This is all I knew. And the rest is history. You will see.
Oh, I can't wait to see it, man. I mean, you're both such incredible guitar players. And you know, the other thing that I learned about him was he plays harmonica. He got up and he plays harmonica Similar to, I mean, like there's Little Walter, right? And then you've got Walter Trout.
Yeah.
But he's got a sound that he sounds like himself, like an influenced by Sonny Boy Williamson, but he sounds like himself. He's such an original sounding, artist, and that's just a part of his magic. But his resilience, I mean, those guys must be descended from Vikings or something. I mean, look at his son. I mean, he's got to be like 7 feet tall,
Unbelievable. Yeah. But hey, you are also, to me, a totally incredible guitar player. I mean, we had you on the show here before, and you know that I'm raving about your playing all the time, because it's like you got the feel, you got the groove. And I was listening to your new upcoming live album, and I had the pleasure that you sent me the whole album. So when I was in the office last night, and even today, I just put it on and had it as background music. And what I loved about your live album is the vibe. It's grooving. You put it on, it instantly is creating a good mood. And so you can just simply have it running, enjoying the music. But then when you listen closely, you find tricky bits in the rhythm section, with all this kind of anticipated, and you have your tricks there. So there's many little layers, and you can be surprised, or you just go with the flow and you enjoy it, as a great blues rock album.
Thank you, Thomas. That means a lot to me, man. And again, your creation, Amp One, has facilitated that. In fact, that album that you're talking about was recorded live in Colombia, in South America. Right. I got a mix from the board shortly after, and I sat on it for some months, and then I eventually listened to it, and I was like, this could be a live album. And then I did some homework, and I asked, an AI Google search, has there ever been an American artist, blues artist, who's done a live blues album in Colombia? And they said no. And so it's, in some small way, I mean, it's not like I'm landing on the moon, but it's got its own kind of unique marketing appeal. And
sure.
And we had a great time there. And I used Amp One. Just like with this last tour I told you about in Central America, Amp One, Blue Box, my pedals are just minis. I throw those in a little carry-on.
Yeah.
Somebody has an extra hand that isn't using an extra bag or carry-on. My whole rig is a carry-on. The Nano Cab, Amp One, and the Blue Box. My pedals.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to go underneath. And that's the thing. It's so consistent. It's like, okay, is it a Dumble? No, but you're only going to be able to play like you play through a Dumble. And are you going to be able to play that everywhere? You're going to take that $300,000 amp around with you? No. And the other thing is I don't know that I would play all that different if I had a Dumble. And your Amp X is probably going to solve that, because you're going to be able to have all those sounds with that too.
Yes, it is doing that. But the thing is, I can give you a setting on the Amp One, a beat to a Dumble, which I have cloned very precisely in the Amp X. And with my switching system, I can go one step further and do a sound with Amp One, which is also so close.
Wow.
The point is, you wouldn't go to those settings, because those settings are the clean channel and the boost, everything cranked, and then you would use some power amp saturation.
Okay.
That is the sound of a Dumble. I've done that. I have a video on that, which I will release once the Amp X is coming out, because then I can show and prove, like, Amp X is more accurate in all the details you can get, and it's more controlled in the way, because what is a Dumble? Basically, a Dumble is a great Fender-y sounding amp with a better control. You know, the Fenders, they do have their character, but the mids are a little bit scooped, and then you push them with a whatever tube screamer, and then and this kind of all that stuff is already done in the Dumble. And not, by the way, not all the Dumbles are great Dumbles. I played some very, very.
To be honest with you, anything that I played that resembled a Dumble, I don't think I've ever played a real one. You know, I played some clones and stuff like that. It didn't make me want to have one.
Same here in the past. My mind changed, but the story is very simple because I knew that amp for many years already, and it belonged to a friend, or now friend, who sold that amp. And I played that amp because he wanted to show me his real Dumble that he bought when, I think it's a 1977 Dumble that he bought back then.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So, and he is the only owner, and when he bought it, it was, of course, a special amp, but not that kind of money it's going for today, not crazy. But the thing is, I played that amp at his place, and I thought, okay, it's a nice amp, but I was not really excited. Then this amp was being brought or sent, not brought, to a guy who is, I would say, a tone connoisseur technician, Udo Pipper, German guy writing for magazine, and he loves and lives tone. And so he kind of put a lot of love into that amp by checking the tubes, finding out that the tubes were not the right ones or the best ones and whatever. So he spent time of not modifying the amp. He left everything stock, but he was kind of making the proper maintenance thing. And then one day Udo called me up and asked me about the former importer of Dumble, which I know as well because I'm in the industry, so I know the other guys. And the guys who were importing Dumbles to Germany was the company Kitty Hawk, which disappeared. But anyway, so I kind of gave him a connection, and then I asked Udo, whose Dumble is that you were just talking about? And he's, I cannot tell. I said, okay, I know the guys in Germany. Is that the one from the Lake District? And I said the name, and he said, yes, it is. Okay, I said, no problem, I know the amp. And then he said, when you come next time, you can play it, because I think I could improve it. Then I played that amp, and I said, man, that's now the magic. Now we are talking. So the first lesson I learned is when you have a maxed out amp, it could also be a Fender or Marshall, or it could be any amp, old school tube amps. The tubes need to match in a way that every stage suits your ideal sound or your playing. Okay. And I played some Dumbles or even Marshalls. They had no magic. And by the way, here's my stack of Marshalls. One of those Marshalls, the original 1967 Plexi Marshall here. Yeah. When it is all original, but maybe not the original tubes, or maybe it was the original tubes. I spent 5 hours going through my tube collection, getting the old Mallards out, which should belong into this amp, and tried every combination, swapping the tubes. And guess what? There was a magic moment. It's wow, this is, now we are talking.
You do have to do that, and unless you're a person that is like you or like me, that has a box of tubes, the time, the resources, and even just the natural wherewithal to know when it's right for yourself, to know when it feels right. That's a really challenging place to get to for people, because there's a big expense just first in getting that piece of equipment, But getting back to this live recording I was telling you about. Yeah. So I had just the amp one with me, the blue box, and my pedal board. And all I have to ask for backline is a 8 ohm or 16 ohm cabinet. Now I asked for 8 ohm and they provided me with this orange 412 cabinet, and initially I was concerned because it said 16 ohms, but you assured me and told me, what to do with that. So that's all you're hearing is basically, actually there's a nice blend there. There's a blue box, but they also mic'd up one of the speakers, and I was able to, because I mixed this album, is to blend, both of those. And I'll send you a link because one of the singles is live right now on Spotify and Apple Music. So anybody that's interested in hearing what that sounds like, they can click on that now.
Yeah, you should listen to that. The blues had got to come home, right?
Yep, the blues has got to come home. Yep.
Yeah.
That's my Mama Z's favorite.
Yeah. and the whole album is called
it's called Tommy Z is live in Colombia. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I also like the way you interact with the audience with your little stories here and there, and then they have to shout at one point,
Yeah.
But it's all a good vibes, good mood, good energy.
Yeah.
And
well, Thomas, I've been, I'm 50 something years old, 55, I believe, if I remember correctly. And I have had the good fortune of being around blues and some of the greatest, and played with some of the greatest blues artists in history since I was a teenager. So
Right.
I've seen how Buddy Guy works an audience in a small club. I've seen a lot of the generations of players that come after him, like Duke Robillard and Ronnie Earl, Anson Funderburg, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimmy Vaughan. I saw Clarence Gatemouth Brown, like as close as I am to you. I mean, I was able to see these legends at some great nightclubs here and to play with them. I mean, I toured with Pine Top Perkins from the Muddy Waters Band. In fact, the video I think that connected us was me playing with Freddie King's brother, Benny, the bass player, Benny Turner. Yeah, I was playing a festival and I was using Amp One, and I think I was using a different cabinet at the time, but you connected with me on Instagram and said, just surprised that I was getting those sounds.
Yeah. I'm a fan. I'm simply impressed what you do and how you sound and how you work the tone. You just mentioned that you work the audience, but you also work the tone. That's something that personally excites me a lot because, these days there's people that make flashy stuff here and there. And of course it's impressive, but the real deal, old school is like, meow, phrasing and getting the energy or being soft and all that kind of expressiveness. Yeah.
Well, I'm your greatest salesman for Amp One, and I mean every word that I say about it. When I tell you, and I've said it to you in the past, that Amp One facilitates that kind of dynamic range for my performance, because I'm used to these old Fenders and Marshalls, and I don't know if you can see over here, I've got some tweeds and a Silvertone. Got there's a Gibson amp, there's a Silvertone. So I'm used to what those old amps sound and feel like.
Right.
And I started, my history was, as I'm open-minded too, even though I'm an older guy, old school, I'm open-minded to the degree that when the Line 6 pod came out, I tried and used that because there were some really good settings on there. And of course it's convenient. Then there's a but. Okay, and then I moved on to the Yamaha DG80 series. Those are really great amps. They had automated knobs. You could just have one setting and everything just adjusted on the presets. It sounded great, but and then moving on with the technology, the plugins, the aux box, the Kemper profiler. I mean, I've used and adopted the technology all along, except there's always been a but. It sounds great, but can I turn around and get harmonic feedback on it at will, like an old analog amp? No,
No.
there's something wrong with that, and I couldn't do that. So there's a convenience in the features, the memory, the presets, and things like that, and the weight of it, the portability.
Yeah.
All that stuff is wonderful. It wasn't until I found Amp One that there were no buts. There were no buts anymore with Amp One. In fact, I had even used. Eric Gales was so impressed with it. I told you we did a show together, and he said, "You sounded awesome, bro." And I went back upstairs to grab Amp One. I brought it downstairs and I put it in front of his face, and he goes, "What's this?" I says, "That's the amp I was using." And his eyes went like this. He says, "That's the amp?" But it was his amplifier originally, the DV Mark, that got me on the journey that found you. So there was usefulness in that, because his amp sounds great, but it just didn't feel right for me. So once I found Amp One, it was during COVID. I was like, there's got to be in 2021 or 22, whatever it was, there's got to be somebody out there that has a tube analog, amp that is portable, that the technology's got to be there, and there you were, man, killing it on the guitar, and then I realized you made the amp.
Yeah, well, I mean, first I designed the amp for myself because I have all these amps, and they were simply too heavy, and I could smell that with my background knowledge, I can realize an analog amp with just one tube that sounds like all tube, because I'm aware of all the details in every stage, because I've done this for 3 decades or even longer. I don't know. I'm and when I go back in my past, I don't know if I ever showed you this book. Wait a minute. My past in the Hughes and Kettner book. This is so when young Thomas, this is kind of, let me show you my early, where here,
That's you?
That's me. This
Incredible.
is me in,
with the same Strat?
Yeah, that's the same Strat. I was young and clean, and the Strat was also young and clean. We are talking 89 or 88 or, late 80s. And then, I always try to get things smaller, more compact. This was me. And there's so many going direct. We invented the going direct. There was nothing like this. Was called the red box, and of course now it's called the blue box because.
Let's talk about that a second, because I haven't mic'd up deliberately. I have not mic'd up an amp since I got the blue box.
Yeah.
And before that, I didn't even have a blue box. All I used was the line out of your. And that was sufficient. That's great. Sometimes that's preferable. I don't know what it is, but that's a beautiful sounding direct signal.
I tell you what it is, because I designed it. It is basically very much inspired by this blue box by Palmer, the Junction, which is a Joe Bonamassa uses that.
Okay.
So, that frequency curve, it's an analog EQ, I would say, to keep it simple in electronic terms. That's kind of in there. I have a slightly different flavor there, but I mean, this was the thing. Is like I've done the red box with Hughes and Kettner, and then somebody said, "Hey, you have to listen to this thing here," and I checked it out. Oh, actually, I like it. And then I came up with my past, this thing, and it's a good sound. I know it's one of many options.
Yeah, and now no sound man gives me a weird look when I tell him that we're going direct.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 to 5 years ago, some people would raise their eyebrows like, "You sure?" and they would just kind of be
microphone, you know.
right. They should be even before I get there will be a 57 on a stand ready for my amp to be put in front of it. And I go, no, just unplug it and plug it in here.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then I put it on that, you know.
Yeah, but you know, myself, I recorded all my last stuff here with the Blue Box. It's all Blue Box. That's you know, my last album with a Finnish guitar player, Ben Grunfeld.
That's great. I remember getting some submissions from that album from my radio station, WBLZ.
Yeah.
What did I want to ask you? Did you say that there was maybe going to be an updated Blue Box coming out?
Eventually, yes. I mean, I have plans for so many products.
Oh, okay.
And I have ideas, of course. You know, first AmpX, then some AmpX related things, and then we go into this territory again. But you know,
well, keep me in mind for AmpX. I know I'm really a basic user. I don't need anything else, but I'm really interested in that and the whole world that it's going to open up for me. It's going to be a game changer, Thomas.
It is something, I tell you.
It's going to be a game changer, man. It's going to be a quantum leap. And I also wonder, you know, like I said, a quantum leap in guitar tone. I think it's just going to be fantastic for the guitar community. But I wonder, what is your opinion on what's going to happen to all that hardware that's behind you and all that hardware that's behind me? Is the price going to be going down, or is it going to, you know, retain its value? Is anybody going to want it, you know?
I think the classics. I mean, let's talk about Fender classics, Marshall, Les Pauls, and Strats, like the iconic classics. They will, if they are real, like pre-CBS Fenders, like the ones that people are looking after and that are from the era where they were not overly mass-produced, they will keep a value, a value. So some of those, they will go up, like anything in collectors land is like, oh, if it's a rare, blah, blah, blah. It's the Jimi Hendrix Stratocaster would always be, you know, whatever, even if it's not a pre-CBS one, if it's a, you know, 1970 one or whatever. The problem that I see is there's a new generation of young people that currently is torn between, I go software, freeware, you know, anything doesn't cost anything, which is okay. The world is partially like that. On the other hand, and they have all the options. They have like programs with 300 sounds or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And they might get to the point where they find out, in the old days, they were cool. They had like an acoustic drum kit, and you could make the sound by how hard you hit and where to hit. And it's similar with like your guitar thing. And some of the people, I believe, will find this again. But that's, I don't know if I'm right. I hope so.
Yeah. I think you're right. It goes in cycles, and I'm hoping that that cassettes come back in style, because I've got about 5 or 6 totes full of old hard rock, heavy metal, and blues cassettes that are sitting in these bins. But you know, I wanted to ask you a technical question while we're together, because I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you one-on-one. I mean, you're just like a hero in terms of this stuff, the technical, the design, and the playing. Tell me why and how the EQ on Amp 1 is different than how you would, say, set your old Fender Blackface.
Okay, in a Fender amp, Marshall amp, they have the classic tone stack. It might sit on a different part of the signal path, you know, before one stage or after. But basically what it's doing, it's a passive network. And now comes the main point, that is shaping the character of the amp, because the EQ, by having those capacitors, is producing a very specific EQ curve. Of course, you can influence that, but by choosing the right components, it produces like notch filters and kind of peaks, and this is what is giving you a very strong character. So when I designed Amp 1, I was aware that I have several, or actually 4 different channels. So I have 4 different sounds, and the 4 sounds should be like matched to the room, to the cabinet, with only one tone control. So when you have a Fender amp, for example, you plug in, you dial in the volume to the extent where it breaks up or is still clean, wherever you want that. Maybe use the bright switch, and then you go for the tone controls. On most Fenders is like there's a bass on off switch feel from like there's nothing, and then there's 3 and there's too much. It's like, okay, I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. That's the Fender bass kind of thing. So 2.5 to 3, or maybe, so that's the sweet spot for me. And then you dial in the mids and the treble, and that's the character of the amp. Add some reverb and you're done. Use pedals. That's a simple way to get a good tone. And it always worked great. But the moment the amp should produce a different sound, it is simply not possible. And therefore, you would need, like for every channel, a full separate EQ. And if I put that on Amp 1, I would have to use 4 3-band EQs. So it would look like a mixing board, and it would end up in being like, you look at the thing and just imagine you had 2 drinks and you don't know which knob to turn.
So are they more active, the EQ, or parametric?
They are designed. Yeah, they are designed that when you put them on like 5-5-5, like in the middle, bass, mid, treble, everything in the middle position, they should show the character of each of the channels in the way I thought it should sound, like, my reference, or like I would love to have the vintage channel is voiced after, some of that stuff behind me. And it's not exactly one of those amps. Sometimes I prove how close I can get. And in my last episode, I had my GTM 45 here, and I was switching. I forgot how close this was. It's like, huh? Do I hear anything? I didn't do that for the last 3 years.
Well, and I think it's as a result of Amp 1, because I didn't play a lot of Marshalls. I never gigged with one all the time. I plugged into one if there was theirs backline, or if it was a gig where there was one there and you have to, set up my amp. But I never used one. It wasn't until I got Amp 1 that I realized I'm probably more of a Marshall guy than I would have liked to admit. And for those people that maybe are new to Amp 1 and say they try one, they get it off of Thomann or Sweetwater, or buy one at Guitar Center or whatever. Don't be discouraged and think that when you turn this thing on that you're going to set those knobs just because they look like a blackface amp setup. Don't think that it's going to sound and respond the way you're used to. And that was what happened with me initially. I was very impressed with it right off the bat, and I plugged it into, I was actually using a 115 cabinet for a while I told you about. It sounds incredible through 15s. You got to get an IR of
I will do
some
that.
of these 15s. But my point is that once I realized that, no, you don't set the treble to 6 or 7, you set it, closer to 4 or 3 or something like that, to get that sweet spot of brightness, because it already has a nice detail and cut, where it's at, like you said, at 5.
Yeah. So that's the point. Start at 5, and then, as it is kind of very open, you just go down on the treble to 4 or even 3. It will not sound dull or anything, and
it doesn't.
And you have to change your mind about like the numbers that you have in head of course. Oh yeah, usually I play whatever my treble there.
Yeah, and again, like we've said before, there's also this thing on your guitar called a tone control that you can now use. You know, the tone control on my guitar is used more as a result of Amp One than I have ever used, you know, before. It's you know, I used to leave it like wide open just because I was trying to get as much cut out of those amps as possible. But now I can roll that thing back, you know, halfway sometimes.
Yeah, and for me, the goal always when designing an amp is to give you the full range of options. You know, sometimes it's another concept which can be great is like you design an amp that has a very specific tone and that has a whatever a certain nasalness or what, you know, but that's the thing. But I try to make Amp One that the way that you can hear the guitar, that you can hear a different guitar being played through the amp, so it sounds more like the guitar and the player than the amp. You know, there are amps out there they sound great, but they kind of process a guitar and channel it into a certain whatever focus, and then you can change the guitar and you hear no difference. I want the opposite. I want that you can make all these different audible. And the technical thing about that is also the input impedance of Amp One is 2 mega ohm. It's not 1 mega ohm like on the classic amps. Because that opens up that universe a little bit more. It's just a tiny bit here and there.
See, Thomas, that's what makes you so special, is because I mean you're such a amazing, brilliant guitar player and artist that you bring those sensibilities to the engineering side, and you know how to achieve both things. And it's rare. A lot of musicians are just musicians, or just one side of the brain, you know, but you've got the creative side, but you've also got the business, analytical, and engineering side, you know, down pretty well from what I know.
Yeah,
you know? But
you know, for me, the most enjoyable moment is when I create something and it actually works. You know, it's like, you know, I always wanted to turn down the volume on the guitar and have a great cleanup when I have overdrive, because that's what I get from some of those vintage amps more than from anything else, and especially when they are cranked. So, and when I then have my own design product and I roll back to Trevor and say, hey guys, listen to this. This is like, you know, it's like, yeah, I'm proud, and it makes me happy. And so I'm always tinkering and twiddling and experimenting with anything.
And that's the other thing, you know, you're constantly searching and trying to do more tone innovation. You don't just settle, even though it takes you a while to get to a point where something is, you know, ready to go on the market. But that's really the, you know, that's really a testament to greatness. But, you know, another thing that people don't really know maybe about Amp One is because it's so compact and feature filled, they don't know that it's tube and it's analog. I mean, the only thing digital about it is the reverb on there. You know?
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing today. I don't mind if people play Amp One or a classic tube amp, but I want that they get the feeling for the electric guitar as the instrument. I mean, it's like, you know, I was talking about drums, because to me, what happened when somebody plays an instrument, it's a physical experience. If you listen to a good drummer in a room, and if the same guy plays an electric kit at cafe house level, it's a different thing. And it's the same thing when you go and listen to a classical orchestra with 80-piece orchestra with whatever timpanis and all the strings sections. That's a physical experience, sound. It's and I wish that we never will lose that kind of experience. And especially when you play. That's the thing what I love about you doing it, and that makes me so proud. When you play the amp one, you work the tone. You're going in all to these nuances in your playing, in your phrasing, in your dynamics, in the choice of pickups, in all these details. Sometimes they are subtle details, but sometimes they are so tasty. And of course, you can make the guitar scream. You can have them smooth and classy and soft, and then you're killing it again. And that's
you're hitting on something that again complements your creation there, because I don't really change my settings. I do. I will tell you, there's like the next single that's coming out. It's called Tommy Guns. I co-wrote it with Tom Hambridge. He's Buddy Guy's songwriter, drummer, and producer. He's worked with everybody. But I use the clean channel on that, and then Gangster of Love. When you listen to that song, that's actually the JCM 800 setting on that. Yeah. But I don't go and change the EQ or the volume or anything. It's really like a set it and forget it thing for me. So just imagine, I mean, you've really empowered, somebody like me who likes to be like that, expressive and dynamic. You've empowered me to have a sound, and it's just, it weighs less than a kilogram.
Yeah, it's 1.2 kilograms, but
and
it's
it
a
needs
kilogram.
No maintenance. Yeah, God, it's incredible. Thank you. I mean, thank you. I don't. Again,
my pleasure. But thank you for making it sound so good, because this amp shows the truth in a way. I mean, it has some nice frequencies, but when you know how to deal with all the nuances, you can show that. But it also will show if you have a lack of dynamic in guitar playing. And therefore, some people sound better on a kind of modeler that kind of reduces the dynamic range, and because then if you just hit the note in pitch and you're good to go,
Right.
This amp one, it's not cold. It should feel the way that it supports you, that but not what's the word? Makes every note sound the same.
Right. It's not monotonous. It's not monotonous or homogenized. But in all fairness, you and I come from an era. I mean, I don't know how old you are, but you and I come from an era where we had to learn on these old machines, so to speak, and that's how we developed our style and our dynamics and our skill, and then carrying them around through the snow and the rain and the hot and the cold weather and all the maintenance. There's so much of ourselves that has bonded with learning, how to play and maintain those things and the relationships. I mean, it's the best of addictions. You know what I mean? I'll admit it. I'm becoming more aware as I get older. I mean, I'm addicted to music and making it, and that's not always the best thing for some relationships, because, it tends to be the other woman that real women are jealous of. But, it's just, it's who I am. It's who we are. And, until somebody understands that, you just have to keep playing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not afraid of getting older, because I will always be happy to deal with this kind of temptation. And here's a little story that Walter Trout told me when he stopped his addiction to drugs and got totally sober. He said to me, it's like, he was very afraid to go on stage, because he was so used to be high and whatever on something, being on stage, so that he didn't know how it would be when he was just sober. And what happened to him? Walter Trout said, I was plugging in, I played a sound, and he had to cry, because he said that was so good. This was so emotional moment for him that the sound really was moving him emotionally, and 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 that he was even playing better being sober and all that stuff.
He told me that his vocal range is now higher than it's ever been. Okay,
Yeah.
and I remember that story that you just told about him breaking down and crying was during a John Mayall performance. I think when
Okay.
he was playing with John Mayall.
Yeah.
And I stopped using anything just for medical reasons because of reflux and some of the
Yeah.
complications of acid reflux. I stopped everything back in like 2009. So that's another I guess point of reference for something that is really great, like Amp One. It's not, and it's so consistent. My life is so consistent too, every day. That there's no real, like, people who tend to drink, that are in my life, even other musicians that maybe smoke weed or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm the guy that's going to notice whether or not it's dragging or it's rushing, or if it's not a non-musician. I can sense the graph of someone's mood. Okay, yep, okay, we're having fun here drinking, and then okay, it's a day or two. Maybe by Wednesday, we're going to have an argument. You know what I mean? And that's another thing. Music isn't really like that. You know what I mean? It's like, although I don't know if I would like want to do it 24/7, there has to be a balance. It's still the best of addictions that I can,
Same here. And that's the point with your new record upcoming. It has captured that positive energy, emotion, the vibe. And that's why I was listening to the whole album twice, in the office.
Wow.
As background music. And then sometimes when I had some time, I was listening a little bit closer to this bit and this part. And I said, oh, wow, wait a minute. Let's roll back and listen to that. So, and I think that it's great to have that you have that product, because that's part of you. That is something that you give to people that you can share, and that is actually something human with a value. It makes sense.
Yeah. Our legacies are now intertwined and interconnected. So because of Amp One, I was able to take this thing to Colombia on my third tour, where I've been a cultural ambassador of American music, blues music. And us two together, we were able to move an audience and give them an experience that we've captured on a recording that as an artist is going to be part of my legacy, long after I'm gone, as long as it stays up there. I don't know if they're going to leave it up on the streaming sites, but that's a whole nother story,
Yeah. Well, hey, Tommy, it's always such a big pleasure, kind of hanging out with you. It's,
one of these times we got to do some playing.
Yeah, I will. Let's see. I can smell this coming next year, in some or the other way. Let's see.
You're gonna have to show me how to play some of that stuff that you play, man. It's like you've got some amazing chops.
Well, same with you, because your vocabulary is slightly different from mine, and this is always like, that's tasty. It's like I'm always. Oh, well, I'm impressed by some of the.
Thank you. I'll give you a little insight to maybe what you're talking about. And at some point after, as I started to get older and mature more as a player and as a musician, I wonder, what is it they're talking about with the blues guys where they say less is more? And it sounds like a cliche. It's like, right? But there's something to the math of it all. I'll talk technically for a second. If you're a rock guy, or you're young, you play metal or fusion or the guitar instrumental stuff, the tendency is addition and multiplication.
More
you
is
know,
more.
as another chorus comes around, or as you get a musical idea, you repeat it or speed it up. But with blues, part of the magic there, and there's players like Eric Gales who does both extremely well. He's incredible. But there's something to the beauty of subtraction and division. And once you learn how to do that, then you realize, okay, there are these moments where I'm close to splitting the atom, and that's where, you know, some stuff, real magic happens, you know. So we can leave it at that. You and I could talk for days.
We'll have another conversation for sure. This is everything we can do for now. And all I can say is check out Tommy Z's new record. I mean, you got a website. You are on the streaming platforms as well, right?
Yeah. Please
Apple
follow me
Music.
on Spotify, Apple Music. I'm on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook as Guitar Tommy Z. So easy to find.
Okay.
I'm the guy with no sleeves most of the time.
Everybody has to have something iconic. That's you. Okay. Cheers.
Thanks, bro. Love you, man.
Yeah.